So we just quietly paint all the time.
Just sit there in silence.
I was possessed as a child. My mom told me many times.
That's going to the opening. Hi everybody, you are watching Paint Dry. This is the web series where I sit down with a Bay County local and learn a little bit more about what they do. I'm JD. I am the director of Palmetto Paint PC. We are a nonprofit that works with other nonprofits in the area to raise money for whatever their cause happens to be. So normally I sit down with the director of a nonprofit that we either work with or have worked with or are going to work with. But this year I want to start sitting down with some more artists. So to both fill the role of a director of a nonprofit and an artist, I am sitting down with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Jayson Kretzer himself, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Thank you for coming on here.
Absolutely. It's like getting a free paint class. So.
Yeah. For something you sort of signed up to be.
Oh, I'm using this. This is going on our Facebook. I was thinking, well, I can just pretend to paint.
That's what you should do.
And then at the end, digitally overlay like a masterpiece.
This is our first episode of 2022, and I kind of wanted to break in 2022 with somebody who, like I said, fills both roles of the director of a nonprofit and an artist, because I want to start having more artists on to talk about what they do, talk about what they've been doing in the community, because if you live in Bay County, there is a lot of stuff going on right now. What is the origin story of Jayson Kretzer, artist?
Humble beginnings. My parents in a plane crash. No, that's...
How'd you get your superpowers?
Oh, man. My 9-year-old son asked me why every superhero's parents die. And it's a good question. But we won't delve into that today.
Psychology.
So I was born in Panama City, but then grew up in St. Joe and Weehawken in Gulf County.
Okay.
Went to all my high school years in Weehawken, and very proud to be from there. And everybody in the 4th grade, I specifically remember, they all could draw really well, and I couldn't draw anything, and it really made me mad.
I'm sorry, so it was out of spite.
It was.
It was okay.
And that's the long moral of the story. So we just skip the long story, and I can just tell you, if you want to be an artist, do it out of spite. Because don't do it because you love it. You kind of do it because you have to do it. But no, no. Seriously though, every kid, or not every kid, but a bunch of my friends could draw, and they drew really cool. And I always wanted to do it. And my grandmother bought me a comic book, first comic book I ever got. Back then you could buy comics in the grocery store for $1. And I saw the Spider-Man and Wolverine sitting there, and she saw me looking at it, and she's like, "You want that?" And I was like, I didn't even know that I could ask for it.
Yeah.
And she bought it for me, and I went home and read it cover to cover, I don't know, tons. And I really was just blown away by the style, because I had always read comic strips, and that's where my style came from, was reading Garfield, and stuff like that. So I have this really clean, hard-edged style, and then I see this comic book style, I'm blown away. And so, long story short, I started doing that and got into it, and just didn't quit. Didn't have any natural talent. To this day, my only natural talent is, no, I'm not even going to go there. There's a lot of stupid things I can say, but my only natural talent is not drawing. If I had anything, it was that I believe in perseverance. If you're not good, keep practicing until you are. And I talked to tons of other artists that were successful that I wanted, like comic artists,
Mm-hmm.
and got great advice from a lot of them, and just worked on trying to develop my own style, and that was it. Got pretty lucky. I think I always say this stupid stuff like I know anything. I know nothing, but I'll tell you, it's always been about how I treated people and how they treated me that has made my life. So I treat people as good as I can, and they treat me good.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just, I don't know. So I've just been really lucky. By the way, is T like for tomato? What is T? I don't even know.
Teal.
Teal. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Because there's one random
There's
teal
one
leaf.
teal.
One single teal leaf.
I was commercial illustrator for 20 years, and so it's kind of hard to get out of that habit because you go from being an illustrator to kind of advocating for all artists.
Right.
And so that's been kind of a interesting transition to this current role I'm in. So my favorite thing, whether it's drawing or writing or whatever, is to collaborate. Like,
Okay.
so that's a big reason why I ended up taking this position. So I was like, this is giving me a lot of opportunity to work with other people.
Right.
I think once you're able to sit down and have conversations with people,
Mm-hmm.
that's like what I wanted to do when I kept standing you up for coffee. Like, just have those
Only
conversations.
once.
Yeah.
It's only one time.
You have those conversations in person, and then it I don't know. It's just, it's cooler than sitting behind a desk and trying to.
Right.
I'm the chair of the Florida chapter of the National Cartooning Society, and that society is the longest running group. I mean, all the greats from Sunday Comics are in that group. I mean, so it's just I have to kind of educate, I would say, as part of that, to make people understand that's not a derogatory thing. I have people say,
Oh Lord, I can't imagine.
we don't want this to be cartoony, okay? And I'm like, you realize who you're
Cartoony
talking
can mean a lot
to?
of things.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It doesn't have to be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cartoony doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No.
Is where I'm going.
And
Right.
to be a cartoonist, I think there's just, people think it's not serious. I started out doing a lot of just like cartoony signs as a visual merchandiser for the Air Force Base.
Oh, cool.
Years ago, before Photoshop was really prominent, and so I was able to just draw with markers on plastic, and then we did vinyl letters for it. So I'd do like their Christmas signs. I'd be cartoony Santa Claus, stuff
that's
like
fun.
that. I learned airbrush and did a little bit of that, but never was good enough to, or never really liked it enough to go airbrush on the beach or anything.
Right.
But yeah, once I got in that, and eventually was the graphic designer for the News Herald for a while, back in the late 90s, to date myself.
I knew none of this.
Yeah. I'm not much of an open book, because the few times that I do start talking about my everything,
Uh-huh.
I don't shut up, and then people are like, okay, and that's all the time we have. No,
Now that's what this is for.
No, I was a graphic artist for the News Herald, which was a really fun kind of story to me, because I was applying with a friend to work on the press late night.
Okay.
And we were just like, this will be fun. We work overnight press, we partying and hang out. And when I say partying, I don't mean partying like LA folks mean it.
I mean, like, it's a party.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to get some popcorn and we're going to watch movies all night. But yeah, I ended up going in for the interview, and I put on my resume that I knew Photoshop because I had, played in Photoshop when I was at Haney, and completely lied about how good I was at it. And they said, well, we actually have an opening for a graphic designer or a graphic artist. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you know how to work on Apple, and you know how to use Quark Express? And I'm like, yep. I never heard of
I
it.
was about to say, did you?
But I was blessed to have a guy that happened to be there. His name's Matt, and he was awesome. Took me, I walked over. They're like, "This is Matt. He's going to show you the ropes." And so I sat down with Matt, and I was like, "Hey, man, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But I'm a very fast learner." I don't know how you feel about it, but comfort zones are not that comfortable. Like, you got to step out of them, and every time I do, I feel great. And I didn't know that until I was well into my 20s. Had I known that earlier on, I'd probably be playing football in the NFL, if I'm being honest.
That's all that was holding you back?
Yeah.
That's it.
Just me knowing that I could go out and try out, But, I decided to take my talents to downtown Panama City, where they didn't need football players, obviously. But so I went from the News Herald. I became an art director for a little communication company on the beach for a bit.
Okay.
And things went kind of weird. Got really lucky because while I was at the News Herald, because I was a new kid on the block, I was given the client that was not pleasable.
Oh.
And at the time, everybody was like, oh, good luck, good luck. Well, I just sent something over, and I don't know what it was, but he loved the design for that car ad, and he told the sales associate at the time, Carol, that he didn't want anybody else doing his ads.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh. So I did his ads for a year at the News Herald before I left. So then when I went to become an art director, Carol called me 3 months in and was like, yeah, so Mr. Gainer's very upset that you're not doing his ads. Would you consider just doing them out of your house or something? And I was like, you can do that? This is 1999.
Remote work before it was a thing?
Yeah, I mean, people were doing it. I just didn't know that was possible. So I went and met with him. I went in there with a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I used to work at the News Herald. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, yeah, you're the person that left and screwed up my ads. And I was like, oh, yikes. And he has such a great personality. Like,
yeah.
He commands a room. And so I was like, yes, sir, but I'm here to work for you now. And I have a portfolio here. And he's like, I don't need to see that. It's probably my ads. It's like, yeah, noted.
Alrighty then.
And he said, I'm going to tell you what. And at the time, I was a punk rocker. I was playing punk rock music. I had earrings in both musician? Ears. Oh, yeah, bass player. Yeah. There's a lot of me you don't know. I'm like an onion.
There really is.
I'm just really old. I'm like a vampire. Yeah, so I had earrings in both ears and long hair. So I looked like an idiot to him, I'm sure. And so he's like, go, you see this guy, he points to the general manager, go tell him what you need. Well, being an artist yourself, we don't know what we need. We're
we'll make it up as we go along.
Yeah, so I went over and quoted horribly low price. And it took me years to get to where I needed to be with him.
Right.
But he said, as I went to walk out, he said, hey, and I turned around and he looked at me serious and pointed, next time you walk in this building, you take them bobs out and cut your hair. And I was like, yes, sir. And I did. I didn't waste any time. And that became just a great relationship. He was really good to me. And I did his ads for 20 years almost. A March of Dimes did an art auction, the national level March of Dimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get into trading cards at the time just because I knew people that were drawing trading cards. And I was like, that's easy. You draw one card instead of drawing a whole book of comics, which is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I sent in like 4 cards to this March of Dimes auction every year. And they sold them, and it was just a donation thing.
Yeah.
And so lo and behold, not long after I had done that, I'd done it a couple of years, the guy that worked at March of Dimes started his own trading card company. Freak. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but he started his own, and he acquired the rights to Voltron to do a trading card set. So I did Voltron, and then we did like this coffee table book for Voltron, and there was like this hidden underground people that loved Voltron. It ended up working out really, really well for me because then from there, I had a portfolio because I had worked on the Voltron set. And so then I applied and worked for Upper Deck and Tops and did licensing like Adventure Time, Marvel.
Oh, cool.
Archer, I did the Archer trading card set. But other than that, I mean, basically I've done, like I say, I really haven't drawn any Marvel comics. That's the one thing that I wish I had drawn more comic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some lettering on comics, Dark Horse and type stuff like that, and flats, like color flats, but nothing that is that big. So it's just hard for me. I'm like a dog that sees something shiny. So working on a 30-page comic is
lose interest real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm already over this podcast. Actually, I'm gonna go.
Jason is the director of the Center of the Arts. He's also director of Bay Arts Alliance, right?
Yes,
you do both
correct.
of those?
I do. Before we go there, I want to tell you one thing, because you know my favorite thing that I deal with at the Center for the Arts or Bay Arts is people that show up and they say, what you should do is this, right? So I'm going to tell you what you should do on this podcast. You need one more person that stands behind us and makes fun of what we're painting.
I thought about seeing if I could splice together video, like get another camera for back here to like video as we're painting.
Yeah.
But that'd be a great idea.
That would be so funny. No, but people do that
I could just get Sally to like just stand behind us.
Yes. Anytime it gets quiet, and she's just like, it's her job to make fun of something. Yeah, so we could start with, I think Bay Arts is a good thing to start with.
Okay.
Just because Bay Arts is recognized by the state as the local arts agency for Bay County.
Okay, I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's a fancy way to say that we have access to a grant from the state that used to be pretty big. Nowadays, it's still nice. It's like I think we get between $25,000 and $27,000 for the year.
Okay.
Most of
That's
what
not shabby for a grant.
No, and most of what we use it for is stuff like the mural project or like cool exhibits that we do at the Center for the Arts. Bay Arts used to run the Civic Center. And when the storm came, the Civic Center went away. But before the storm came, there was this Visual Arts Center place, which is currently the Center for the Arts. And there was a storm there of its own called the FBI. And they...
I love it when a story involves the FBI.
So that organization went defunct. And the city did not want to necessarily take charge of the Center for the Arts.
Okay.
So they looked for somebody to take over, and they looked at Bay Arts Alliance, who had been managing the Civic Center for the city for, 40 years. And so there was a nice track record. And so then they...
That didn't involve the FBI.
That didn't, yeah. Yet. Don't count me out. No. I like to be transparent, But so the city said, would you guys like to run it? And at the time, Jennifer Jones was the executive director of Bay Arts. And then they said, their only stipulation is that you add people to the board that knew about the Visual Arts Center that were not involved with any of
the shady stuff.
And granted, there was a lot of people that was involved in the Visual Arts Center at that time that had nothing to do with the shady stuff, and great people, but they just didn't want that to be involved. And so Jennifer Jones, who a lot of people might not even realize, had lived in Weewall and went to school at Weewall Hitchka, which means water eyes, because there's two lakes there. It's a history fact. So
we should just start a Panama City history podcast.
I feel like I do make a lot of it up, to be honest. So.
Who's gonna check it?
Yeah. So Jennifer knew me, and so she said, "Do you want to be on the board?" And I said, "No." um, because I had never been on a board. And anyway, she said, you should be on the board. And so I agreed, and biggest mistake of my life. I'm kidding. It was such a learning experience that I had so much fun.
You don't regret it yet, though.
No, I don't. I learned so much about everything. I mean, I was just in my own world, doing my own thing, and then I joined the board, and then, and then the storm hit, basically, actually 2 months before the storm hit, the current director had resigned, and I was asked to take on the role of interim director of the center, not Bay Arts. Mm-hmm. So they're two separate entities, which is very confusing to me and everyone else still.
It's very confusing.
But so to try to help with that, I'll say that the Center for the Arts is just a venue.
Okay.
It doesn't have a bank account.
Okay.
So
it's just the building.
It's just the building.
The galleries.
Right.
Okay.
And Bay Arts is the people that that run it, and the city they give us a management fee, and they partner with us, and to a degree to help us fulfill our mission. Mm-hmm. And part of that partnership is just letting us use the building to put art in it, because I'm very excited about, especially current leadership in the city, and their
willingness to.
Yeah, their willingness to support the arts and all that good stuff. Gratuitous love for the city. So they,
when they watch this and hear us talking about the FBI,
yeah, let's get that Jay Kretzer out of there. I don't know if he's the best image. In a nutshell, is Bay Arts is more than just Center for the Arts, and Center for the Arts is basically just a building.
Okay.
So our mission is to support, promote, and develop the arts as essential to the community, especially to the revitalization after the storm. Mm-hmm. So we kind of, after the Hurricane Michael, we had a strategic planning session, really dove into what our mission was post-storm. Without the Civic Center, it was a bit of a floundering, flopping kind of feel where it's like, whoa, we went from this $1 million budget, bringing these big name shows to only running a building that's completely free to enter. So we went from a staff of 12 all the way down to 2 at one point, Dixie and I. And so now we're back thriving thanks to the community and support from. Downtown has just been amazing. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Bay Arts, we want to do more than just be downtown.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at right now, and hoping to do more.
Just that we have the welcome wall.
Right.
Even that by itself is just.
That was
really cool.
Such a fun project. I don't know if Pibb's a sponsor, so I'll keep him off to the side.
Community cups.
Okay. I just realized we misspelled alliance. No,
I'm dyslexic. Don't do that to me. I was like, surely not.
Each mural has its own story.
So, yeah, let's talk about the murals.
So going the project as a whole.
The project as a whole.
Yeah. So when we first, after the storm, what a perfect opportunity to develop downtown and the surrounding areas.
There wasn't really anything even remotely like that. That I can think of.
No, there was a couple of murals that were hidden away because there was a lot of people that didn't necessarily want murals. And, so I think it made it, there was a lot of things in the policy that made it kind of confusing or difficult. And so, Jennifer Vigil was a big part of getting that mural policy changed. Jenna Halligus was a big part in putting together the mural committee, which I think was a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. Before the mural committee, all the murals went before the city commission. The city commission, who didn't really care. it's not that they didn't care about murals, but they didn't
Weren't invested in it.
They didn't. Yeah, it's like, why are you asking me about this mural? I mean, I'm sure whatever. And so, you know, Jenna put together, and the team put together the mural committee, but there still was another aspect that I felt like we could help on, and that was everybody wanted a mural, but almost no one wanted to pay for it. Yes.
Yeah. How did I guess?
Yeah. So that's where we stepped in and said, well, I'll raise money just to pay artists. Yeah, the welcome wall was such an interesting project idea that we had. We have this long wall, placement of that wall. It was like, it's going to be really hard to choose one artist. So what if we do something that I haven't seen? And that is get multiple artists, local, they all had to be local, and they all had to have a definitive kind of style to them, and just show, like, now when you drive into downtown, it's like, these are the kind of artists that live here. And so the reason that I got added was because of the cartooniness of it. Actually, we didn't have a lot of other cartoonists, so to speak. But yeah, so Downtown Improvement Board, I went and pitched them the idea, and so they gave money for it. Then I had to pitch each artist and say, I got a little bit of money, not enough to pay you what you're worth, but enough that at least you won't lose money.
Right.
And that's kind of the story of the mural project. I have to do that a lot. But, you know, we're being a nonprofit, people are more apt to want to work with us and make it something good that we can all be proud of. Yeah, and so that's what happened. And then I wrote a grant to St. Joe for a little bit of money, which, you know, and we're very open about the mural project. We haven't made, Bay Arts hasn't made a cent. Every dollar that we raise for the mural project has been sent out in artist fees. So, like, we got a $16,000 grant from St. Joe Community Foundation, which was awesome. And we had to use $4,000 in each district. So that the mural you guys painted, that was the St. Joe grant for there. That's why y'all put the St. Joe logo on there, which was a really nice touch. So the tough part is navigating who gets to do a mural, you know, and how that works, because I think a lot of people think I sit there and I say, I'll tell you who's not doing a mural in this town, JD Justin. So, you know, we get that a lot, and I don't always pick, and by always mean never. So business owners have a lot of say in who those artists are. So I always tell artists, if you're interested in painting murals, go out and paint murals. Brand yourself as a muralist. Talk to businesses. And a perfect example,
and then you find yourself accidentally painting them.
Right. I mean, and so that's kind of what you have to do. And at the end of the day, we only can do as many murals as we raise funds for.
Right.
And I think that always is a little confusing, because I get no less than 2 calls or emails a week about murals. Just people like, hey, I want an interior mural. Can you make that happen? And I think it's became to the point where people think I'm the man that makes all the murals happen. And that's too big of a responsibility for any one soul. So I want to let people know that you don't have to go through me. It's probably easier for you if you don't. If you can find a wall owner that wants your art on their wall, you guys can just do it.
Yeah.
And there's a very simple application on the city's website, and we've simplified it so much, made it very easy. And then you can rock it out. Now, if there's a situation where there's a nice wall, public view, and the business owner may not, or the wall owner may not have enough funds to pay, at that point, I'm totally cool with, hey, I've got an artist, I have a wall, do you have any funds? And at that point, I can, if it's in the downtown district, I can go to DIB, or if it's, you know, I can write a grant or whatever and try to get that money. So I tell all, you know, any artist interested in doing murals to just go ahead and find a wall, get it, you know, get it going, and then I can help fund it. But If you wait until the wall owner comes to me and says who, I'm going to send them a list of Instagram tags,
Right.
which I have.
Because that is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, and we have a lot of awesome artists, and every artist I work with that I think did a good job or is professional, or even people we haven't worked with. If I think they've got a nice Instagram, and I keep saying I think, it's kind of a factual thing. If you've got art on your Instagram,
right,
then I think you've got a good Instagram. So
you've got something to show.
I send that out, and then I say, do you like any of these artists? Because I can help get you in communication with them. And what ends up happening is then they choose their artist, or every wall owner has social media, so they're like, well, actually, I like this artist, and so I don't control that. So there'll be one artist.
You're not the mural wizard?
I'm not. I am just a wizard.
So do you want to talk about FLLuxe? Like, kind of.
Yeah, we could talk about. So, FLLuxe, FLLuxe Arts Festival, started last year. We did a scaled down year last year.
It was really cool.
Thank you. We wanted to keep it small for COVID's sake and keep it all outside, but the original vision for that event was to be a mural festival, projection at night, music throughout, and then street chalk and vendors. So basically I have a spring festival of the art inside of all of that stuff. And so last year we just did the street chalk, which I think worked.
It was
really
cool.
So we're going to do that again. We're bringing in more artists, adding more local artists, trying to get the schools involved. It is during spring break, March 18th and 19th. It's the end of the spring break week. But we're hoping people are out of school and can come down and really enjoy in it. And something that's always a passion of mine is learning, education. So that's why I founded Creative Con and made it a creative conference kind of feel. Is now we're going to be doing workshops at the FLLuxe. So we've got Annette Ronan, who is she's an immigrant artist. She's going to give a talk on her experience, but also on her process, which I think is going to be really cool because she does those big 3D chalk pieces.
Yeah,
and it's all going to be free to the public.
My personal favorite thing that the Art Center does is the skateboard show. I love it so much.
Yeah, we're doing that. This year we're doing a kind of a special show over the summer called Fired Up.
Okay.
Which Tori, my teammate over there right now, she's always fired up about cool ideas, and so this is her baby. She's into ceramics, and so it's going to be a ceramic show. We haven't had a ceramic show, but it's going to be educational. There's going to be a prompt. So people can, I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be some sort of prompt, and then you make based on that prompt.
Oh, that'll be cool.
I always love those shows. We have open studio, clay studio, so people can come in. I think it's like Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Yeah. And so we're always firing that big kiln that St. Joe Community Foundation bought for us. So, yeah, it's going to be a good show. You know what? I'm not very good at painting. Can't believe I let you talk me into this.
I like it.
Oh, yes.
You ready to show 'em?
I guess so.
You guess so?
Wait.
That's what you just drip the paint down.
Yeah.
All right. Ta-da.
Voila. This is the one he painted. Man, I really appreciate this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming. Was there anything else you need to plug?
Nope.
How can people find out more about Bay Arts Alliance?
Bayarts.org.
Okay.
FLLuxe is FLLuxeFestival.com.
Okay.
And of course, the Center for the Arts is PCCenterfortheArts.com.
Yeah. And if you're downtown, you can't miss it. It's the large building with the butterflies all over it. It's really cool. Yeah, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you want to find out more about Palmetto Paint, you can visit us on Facebook. That's where we post all of our events and stuff. They're also on our website. It's a Weebly site, so it's super easy to sign up for classes on there. And if you're on Instagram, all of our stuff is under the hashtag EveryCanvasCounts. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.